are our which are our young activists. So we invited young people that worked with us throughout the project from different countries to come and share a bit of their experience. And today we have six of them, I think, if I'm counting correctly. And I will ask them to present themselves. So first round of presentation, and maybe I'll start with the first one that I can see here, which is Katie from Ireland. Hello, Katie. You want to tell us something about yourself?
Hi everyone, so my name's Katie and I'm from Ireland, staying in Waterford. And I joined my yack about, I want to say up to a year ago. And I actually found out about the yack online because one of my friends was in the yack. So I got through it, like got into it through that. And I think the reason why I joined the YAC or just kind of started getting into climate activism was actually through school. I take geography as a subject and we were learning about climate change and like the solutions to it. And I was like sitting there one day, I was like, we're learning about these things, but we're not putting them in practice. So I thought, even if I can make small change in my local area, local community, like it's still a big thing. So that's why I joined my YAC. Yeah.
Thank, thank you, Katie. Thank you very much. Just for the people who are not aware of the acronyms that we use, the YAC is the Youth Advisory Council. So it's small groups of young people that get together frequently to talk topics about sustainability. And then maybe we can go to Charlotte, also from Ireland. Hello, Charlotte.
Hi, hello everyone. My name is Charlotte. As Thomas said, I am also from Ireland, from Waterford as well. I joined the YAC in I think 2021 now, but I started really my climate activism journey in 2019. I ran the Fridays for Future in Waterford for a while, but then I moved over to the YAC in 2021. And I think the reason I really started in 2019 was there was lots of like videos online of people talking about like save the turtles and all the videos of polar bears, and that was really started my journey just seeing all these like sad videos. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna stand up and I'm gonna try and make a change. So that's why I'm here.
Thank you, Charlotte. Okay, now moving a bit south to Italy, we have Livia. Hello, Livia.
Hello, everyone. So, actually, also my activism started with Fridays for Future because I had a friend who was active there. He's a representative of Italy for Fridays for Future, and but actually, the first occasion where I had knowledge about a deeper knowledge about climate was the Be a Change Maker program in Milan, and then this led to the also People on Planet boot camp that was a European experience.
Thank you, Livia. Okay, still continuing in Italy, we have not Livia, I'm sorry, Irene. Livia already heard about. Irene, hello.
Hello everyone, my name is Irene De Angeli and I am 23 years old. I hold a degree in political, social and international science in Bologna and now I'm currently attending a master in international relation and environment in Rome. And since 2022, I have been collaborating with WeWorld like Livia and I contributed to the Be Changemaker project, but in the first edition. And I think that my academic and professional journey reflects a strong commitment to global issues and in particular to sustainable development.
Thank you, Irene, for sharing that. Okay, moving towards the ocean. Now we arrive in Portugal with João. Hello, João.
Hello, Telmo. Hope everybody is doing fine. As I said, my name is João. I'm 20 years old from Portugal, but I've been involved for quite some time in this type of work in the youth field and with sustainability in specific with the MVF and other non-government organizations. And yeah, it's been a good journey that I hope we will have a chance to talk about this project. So really proud and happy to be here.
Thank you, João. And now, last but not least, we have Aria from Spain and Galicia. Hello, Aria.
Hi. So my name is Ariadna Lina. So I'm from Spain, as I have said, and from Galicia. I not that much of an person from climate change. I didn't start it as this. I was more driven to school and the political aspects of it because I started just as college things and stuff. But a friend of mine was really interested in this project and she brought me there for her birthday. So that's when I learned more about this and about how the people here I just like fantabulous and the projects that we do, I think they're very novel and I really want to help too. So that's my reason to be here.
Thank you, thank you. Maybe we will hear a bit more about those projects in a bit, and also good strategy to bring people to climate change cause with birthday parties. Before I ask my first question, I would just like to say to the people that are present that we will have Q&A, question and answers part near the end of the session. So if you hear something that you would like to know more about, maybe you can ask a question in the chat, for example, or you can note down, and then we'll give some space for you to ask some questions. And we hope that you do. So keep that in mind. Okay, so starting our debate, let's say. It was interesting to hear some of you mentioning, like talking about your local reality, right? And when you are young, this is the reality that you really know about. So maybe we can start from there. So, what is your experience talking about and doing activities regarding sustainability in your local reality, in your neighborhood, in your city, in the streets? Um, who would like to talk about that? Maybe we can start with Charlotte, I think.
Yeah, no problem. So in Waterford, obviously I'm part of the YAC and Katie is too. We organise lots of different events. So I'll start in 2021. The first event that we had organised was a panel discussion with local change makers in our area, so like councillors and stuff. And we all came to like an area, obviously, in Waterford. And they sat down on the stage, and then the audience was filled with people our age from schools and stuff. And we opened the floor to the young people, and they got to ask whatever questions that they felt passionate about, and then the counsellors got to give their answers. So that was really just like enlightening to hear like the opinions of our local councillors, and we also hopefully got to like inspire them to hopefully care more about the environment. And then another thing that we did was we do lots of like we kind of combine arts and activism in Waterford. So we held two kind of open mic events where people could come and sign up and people shared songs and poetry that they might have written or that they like that kind of remind them of the environment and nature, while also we had posters hanging up that had prompts on them. So, like, what do you think? Like, for personal opinions, like, what do you think is most important and stuff like that. And then I went to the 2024 like Lisbon boot camp. So that's when we learned about the position paper. We put that together and we learned loads of like techniques and stuff, and we brought them home. So we kind of shared that as well with our local area. So we've done loads, and the attitude of people has been really positive. People love coming to events and stuff and really enjoy it.
Thank you very much, Charlotte. I'm left wondering after you shared that, is this like the normal reality, local reality for everyone? Maybe João, do you want to share a bit your local reality? Do people also participate a lot in the events that you do?
For sure. I would say people do participate a lot in the events I do because they are forced to. Most of the events I do is in schools, and with it being in schools and in classes, they have no sense. They either are there or get expelled, which is quite an interesting and effective way of ensuring participation. Jokes about that. I do a bit like that, working at the local level very heavily with schools because of that reason. It's very hard to get people to participate, at least in my reality in Portugal and in the Lisbon area. If you don't do it like this, like if you do an open event, let's say an open mic or open meeting, or a YAC council, as you explained, you don't get too many people, or if you get people that are already inside the bubble, that already talk a lot about climate, about sustainability, that are heavily into that. I don't really care for that because those I don't need to talk to. Like it's being like a parrot, repeating to those that already know it. That's not my point. I don't think local work should be like that. For me, the nicest thing about local is being able to break bubbles. Like if we are here in an international event, it's very hard for the MVF to involve somebody which doesn't care at all about the environment. But if we are at the very local level, that's very much so possible. And I would say above all that the main goals we have, it's that, and the main struggle is really about once you have the people there, they like it. But to get people to come to be available to attend your events in the first place, if it's not mandatory or in where they already are, it's very hard.
Okay, thank you. And I will just want to ask very quickly. So you said that you do the majority of your sessions in schools, right? And how does that work? How do you organize that? And does it have a good impact, do you think?
As I said, I think the moment people are there, it's very easy to have a very good impact because it's topics that everybody knows. We all know the environment is in danger and you need to work on that. And once we are able to dig a bit deeper, like how can we actually make a change in it, it's very easy to have a good impact. How we do it, it's a bit as the boot camp that some of us or you are familiar about. We call it, or it's called non-formal education, meaning it's about all talking with other people, like we are doing here. Not a class. I'm not talking to you and you're listening. We are changing with each other, and that's what we mostly do through activities, dynamics, games, and so on. And that's very important because if you hear, hey, take care of the environment, it doesn't really stick to you. But if you do something about it, if you have a conversation, design a project, an initiative, something, you get a much deeper involvement.
Thank you. Okay. Now maybe I would ask Irene if you want to share your experience, because from what I understand, maybe you are kind of in this halfway point between more formal participation and informal participation, right? How does it work in Italy?
Yes. I also have an experience to share with you because in recent months I have had a transformative experience regarding sustainability in my local community in Rome. Because after moving to this beautiful city for me in September, I know an inspiring organization called Retake, and this no-profit organization is dedicated to protecting the environment and caring for public spaces, promoting beauty, livability, and also urban regeneration. In fact, Retake encourages citizens to participate in the regeneration of public spaces, stimulating their civic sense. I started participating in Retake's groups around Rome and quickly became a volunteer for Retake. And this involvement allowed me to actively contribute to the cleaning and revitalization of some of the city's neighborhoods. And through Retake, I have not only helped recover the beauty of Rome, but also connected with individuals who share the same passion for making our city a better place. So it has been an incredible experience for me, and I'm proud to be part of a movement that encourages everyone to take responsibility for our shared environment.
Thank you. That sounds very interesting. I will start taking an hour from my work time to go to the street and try to change something as well.
Yeah, fantastic.
Okay, thank you for sharing like some of your experiences. And I was wondering, is like the way you put it, it sounds very great, interesting, and a great experience. But is it always like easy to do things, or like João shared a bit, do you have some difficulties sometime? How is these ups and downs, of talking sustainability with the general audience? Maybe Katie or Charlotte, I think in Ireland you had some troubles organizing some big events, right? Do you want to share something about that?
Yeah, I think a little struggle that we may have had, which I do think we've gotten better with, and Charlotte will talk more about that. But I think a kind of struggle we dealt with was big groups and lots of people, because when you're within a smaller group, it's easier to kind of organize things, like organize meetings to meet up and talk about things, organize jobs for people to have. Whereas with it's a bigger group, it's kind of difficult to do that, especially when people might have like diverse opinions and stuff like that. So trying to like navigate it to all to the same goal. But I do think we have gotten better at that. And it's not like all bad having lots of people, which Charlotte will explain more now.
No, it's not bad to have people at all. And like right now, a lot of our members of the YAC we're in our final year of school, so we have exams, so it's that little bit harder to get everyone together. But there's so many positives about having a big group. Like sometimes it could be daunting when you're coming into a big group, but you get to organize bigger events and stuff. Like if you didn't have this amount of people, there wouldn't be enough people to divvy out roles to. So we've been able to do so much more because of the amount of people we have. And like not just that, you get to meet like so many new people as people join, and people obviously have different ideas. So like if you had a small group, maybe there wouldn't be as many as ideas shared, where when someone new comes in, they have all these new ideas for us to do. And that's what turns into our events, these big events that we like to do. So it has its ups and downs, but we get there.
And I think
um
another positive, sorry to interrupt, I think
no.
another positive is the more people there is, the more friends you have. Because I know when I joined my yak, I was so terrified, like I didn't know anyone there, but I made friends with everyone, and now it's like friends outside my usual group of people from school, or like say my extracurricular activities of like basketball or something like that. So you also make lots of friends, and like friends with different insights, viewpoints, opinions. So it also like helps you understand and look at things from other viewpoints, and especially because our yak has lots of ages in it, so you get like viewpoints and opinions from different age groups as well.
Yeah, it's encouragement as well, like the more people you have, the more people you have behind you, backing you up to say, yeah, we can do this. Like, 'cause if you're feeling down and it maybe just be one other person or two other persons in your group, you might all feel that kind of low, but once there's more people, someone else can feel the high, and everyone's like, yeah, okay, let's get back motivated, let's get back on track, we can do it. So it's great. Yeah, it's great having our big group.
I definitely see that. Like, it's really, really good to have a good, like, big group, because you can actually get to so many more places. It's also really hard to manage because it's definitely different people and everything. But in the bootcamp that we did, they taught us a lot of ways we could manage this type of groups, like analyzing with some questions the way that people want to be aligned with the group, the way that people want to do things, so that it can be easier for everyone. And I think that helps a lot, not just in this, but in everything else.
Okay, that's great. And maybe are there any other difficulty or good things not related to number of people? So one thing that I was thinking about, maybe for example, since um, you are all young people, like do you feel that when you try to reach out to other entities, like to local authorities, to to the community, like do you feel that you are listened to? Do sometimes maybe you have some difficulty regarding that? What has been your experience with that?
I'm not sure how it would be in the other countries, but I know in Ireland, or for me anyway, that sometimes when you're reaching out to like your counselors and stuff, there could be that fear that like they won't treat you like, not with respect might be a good word, but with maturity, that they won't see you as someone to take seriously. But the reception we've had is we've pretty much been listened to, and we felt like people really do care, and that even though we're a group of young people, we still get listened to, which is really nice. Even though you might have that fear, oh, these like adults in politics, they're not going to want to listen to us. Like I'm only 18 or whatever. But generally, I think the response we've had, Katie, I don't know if you agree, is it's good. Yeah, they treat us like we're actual people who can do something.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the councillors or politicians in our city like to get young people involved in these causes, because the whole point of, say, an event like this is to show people that, this is our future and we're trying to protect our future. So I think we do usually have a positive environment of the adults in our area that, want us to get involved and want us to help. And it's also like a learning curve for us because obviously we don't know everything, but it's the same with the adults. They also don't know everything. It's a learning curve for everyone. So while we're reaching out to them and organizing these events, we're educating others, but also ourselves.
Actually, I unfortunately had the opposite situation because I think it depends on the local level, so the government you have. And in my case, there isn't an attitude towards listening in general. But I can see that towards young people, they are more kind, but just at a formal level, then they would, I'm sure they would never actually apply or do something of what you proposed. So I can see a difference in uh, governments and local levels.
Yeah, definitely. In Spain is also like in Italy, like they don't take us that seriously. Like there's some people of administration that kind of says like, yeah, that what you say is right, but we cannot do anything about it. We just they just do like this doesn't really matter. It's just young people doing young people things. It's like because we have very right directed politics, like to the old people directed politics. So it's kind of hard in that way.
Okay, thank you for sharing. But I imagine that even if sometimes you don't get to convince politicians as much as you'd like, I believe that still you have a lot of impact, with your action, right? Because the world is more than just politicians. So what are some of the other impacts that you can find with the activities that you do? Maybe Charlotte, do you want to pick up on this?
Mhm. One thing that I found, a lot of our events, like our open mics and stuff, would bring like a wide range of people. So like people from different ages. Like we've had people our age who would be young and people who would be like older, maybe in their 30s and stuff coming. And the attitudes, I think, people when they leave our events has really, really changed. Like you can see that people have enjoyed the event, so they kind of have that connection between like a positive experience that they enjoyed and also with knowing they can make a change and like climate change and stuff. So it kind of links that up for them. And like obviously we have our panel event, so counselors. So we hope that maybe the counselors would walk away with new insights and maybe they could bring that into like legislation or policies and stuff that they could put forward, that this is a problem that they now feel is important and that should be considered when it comes to like their job. So we reached all kinds of people and we hope that it'll really make an impact.
Thank you, Charlotte. Um, Maybe we can go to Livia because I remember when we were talking about this session, you were also talking about some of the impacts that these kind of activities had for yourself, right? As a personal growth, let's say.
Yes, I think that I'm one of the persons that changed their attitudes after the boot camp. And especially, I'm very grateful for some activities we had that concerned being more connected with the nature. And it really reminded me of why we fight for climate change. And I do this to this day, every day, I try and find a spot where to connect with nature. But it was not only that, obviously, also I think it was enriching in terms of networking. And I had I felt that I wasn't alone in this fight, and I could read also in social media information about climate change, and I could talk to other fighters finally, and just enlarge my uh, group of fighters and activists, and that was one of the best parts also.
Okay, thank you. That's interesting. Maybe Arya, you want to also to contribute to this part of the question? What are the impacts that you find with this kind of activities?
Well, I mean, I haven't been in this project for a long time as others have been, but because as I said, I was more driven towards political, like unions. I'm in my school zone union and everything. But when I saw what they did in this climate change thing, I think it motivated me a lot because there was this whole lot of people that had all the information that I have been missing for this time, and they were like such good people that explained their reasoning like very clearly, and they gave me like this hope that the world can actually be better, because all the time the government is telling us that this cannot get better, that we are going to be destroyed absolutely. But this gave me a lot of tools that I myself can use even if I'm just 17 to do actual change, and I think that drove me a lot more towards what is climate change and everything. uh we also kind of did an activity I really like talking in front of people and convincing people. I feel like that's really my thing. And I did have a meeting with a representative of this climate change laws that we have here, like very, very locally. It did go well. Like they took a few ideas from it. Like they installed little farms and community plantations for more schools that they used to do, because they only used to do it with very, very young people. So I feel like that's a change that we did, and that's like really motivating to see that you actually are making an impact in some way. Yeah, that changed me a lot.
Okay, thank you. Yes, that is interesting because in our bootcamp that we had last year, we debated some ideas that were present in the position paper that I shared with you in the beginning, and maybe you could talk about a bit that experience and those ideas that are in the paper to motivate more people to read the paper. Maybe I would ask Livia if you want to talk a bit about this journey with the bootcamp and the paper.
Yes, I definitely shared the position paper to other activists, and I think it was very helpful also to just align the efforts in creating in making sustainable change. And we had interesting brainstormings and new ideas came up, and they gave me also something back. It wasn't just me giving information, but I think it was very useful.
Can you maybe share one of the ideas, for example, that was in the paper that had the most impact to you or that you were most fond about? Can you remember any?
Yes, I remember some, but there were, for example, more about finding ways for groups to having, like young people having power to just spread and use their knowledge.
Okay, thank you.
Individual impact, yes.
Thank you. And if I understand correctly, João, you are also in your sessions doing kind of inspired similar process in your activities, right? Can you tell us a bit more about it?
Yeah, for sure. Like the thing we come to realize, a bit as I talked before, positions paper gave us a good base, but didn't really make sense for me and for my NGO and so on to be there raising a flag about something a group of 20 people from all over Europe said. Like that's not representative of my local reality at all. Not to say it's not valuable, like the other way around, but a bit the same as before. It's about those that are already involved. What we tried to do was to break that barrier, to take the ideas, at least the main or the most youth-friendly ideas of the position paper, and go to the youngsters and see if they agree or not with them and how they would shape them. And that has brought to a very interesting processes because, like, to summarize, one of the major activities we do is being in a classroom or whatever, but usually, as I said, working in schools, and putting the youngsters making as if they are like a parliament, European or national parliament, whatever model you want to use, and have them vote on the ideas. And that's very interesting because it's two things that youngsters like: active tools to deal with the sustainable development, because if, as we saw in the beginning, 80 something percent, I don't remember the percentages, but a lot are very concerned about the environment and about its impact and so on. But if you ask them, give one clear example that you can implement in your day-to-day life, I either hear recycle or nothing. So it's very lackluster. So that's thing number one. Show them that policy making is doable. And the other is what we touched on, the colleague speaking before me, that the politicians don't have that easy of a job doing stuff. Let's say it so. And to give youngsters basic knowledge about policy making, about the public policies, it's quite rewarding because we see them asking things that are impossible. Like, for example, Telmo was in a session with us last week, and I had 10, 20 proposals of the youngsters that are two or three illegal, the other not doable at all. And that's not in common. I have far too many times said, okay, sure, we can do that. But if we did that, we'll have to leave the European Union because that's a crime. Oh, okay. And that's very interesting. And I really like that approach, like to bring the societal changes, and let's call that, but also the local reality of what you can do, like an individual, a person. I also had meetings with the Secretary of State, of the Environment, ministers, and so on, European deputies, how that you can think about. I've probably met them about the sustainable development and so on. Even the Council of Europe, not so long ago, that's also interesting if you are into reading positions papers and so on. The Council of Europe adopted a recommendation, a law recommendation to 50 countries that is based on a bootcamp they did. So they basically did the same as we did, bootcamp 3-4 days for activists, but they are a bit bigger than this project, let's call it so, being the oldest European institution. So instead of writing a position paper, they wrote laws to all the countries. I'm saying this example to put in perspective that the work we did really matters. The opinion of activists, young people, maybe not in the local municipality, especially if it's smaller, but a broader level, European level, national level, people care about that. Like, it's very valid. At least it's the feeling I have. And yeah, it's been a good journey to, when we take what we learn in the position paper, what we talk about there, and shape it to a local reality, good things are happening.
And maybe can you share one or two of the good legal ideas, maybe that young people
Good
seem
legal
to
ideas.
agree on?
One that I always talk about, and I already told Telmo about that, that's very controversial. In Portugal, a bit like in some other countries, I think most of the countries here it's not like that, but in Portugal is the trains. The trains are very hard to do, and only the government can build trains. And all the youngsters are like, what the hell? Why if somebody else wants to build a train, it cannot, it's illegal. And that's really something that youngsters get so surprised when I tell them that. That's so stupid. Who make the law? And all of them basically agree with that. And something as simple as that, like being able to actually have trains, build more lines, because many of them have to take a train or public transport to go to school. There are many ideas. One they always say is, why don't we put people in prison by throwing trash to the ground? People and companies and so on, that they say it's illegal, but police sees you do and ignores you. Shouldn't be like that. It should be put to jail or put heavy fines. I have one school that we asked them. So what would you do if you saw something like if you were once again government, parliament, and so on? What would you do to somebody that throw the trash in the school? And they said we would put them 5 years in jail. That's what the youngster said. And then when we are outside, we see 4 or 5 youngsters throwing trash on the ground, and I go to them and ask, "And now, what are you gonna do?" And they did nothing, of course. And that's really an example. Like when you ask what you think should be done at a policy paper, position, broader level, they have very interesting ideas. But many of the ideas, and that's the most interesting ones, can be done in their daily life, and they argue they should be done by everybody, but then they can make in their own and don't. I talked a bit, just to get back to you, Tom, about recycling. All of them, when you ask about the environment for youngsters, the first thing comes to mind is recycle. If you say, take care of the environment, I do okay, I recycle. But then, do they recycle in the classroom? No, there's nothing there. And they ask them, could you make a recycle bin for the classroom? So nothing against that, but they never did it. That type of stuff is well interesting. So I think I kind of maybe deviate a bit, but answered your question. Is seeing stuff they can do by themselves, but they don't, and ask others to do. Let's say so.
Thank you, thank you. And what about next steps? So we talked already a lot about things that we did, that we are doing. What about the future? Do you have any projects, any strategies amazing that you would like to share about your action regarding sustainability?
I think the major thing that is defining, I work with a non-government organization, and the major thing that is defining the next year for us is going to be annoying politicians. I wrote that already in the yearly activity plan, how to annoy a politician. We're going to do a boot camp about that, to try to train 20, 30 youngsters on how to do that. So a bit about that. Try to make societal change. And I say that because at the local level, we're already doing everything we can. Like from a financial and human resources point of view, there's not too much more that we can support the youngsters. We support them in writing proposals to the school, in implementing their activities. We had a school asking, can we organize a beach cleaning with them? We said yes, that type of stuff we already did do and will continue doing. And it's very important. I don't think it's only about asking others to do, as I said, it's about doing yourself. But the major next project we're going to have is definitely, we tried to have meetings with and had with some Portuguese decision makers, especially ministers, but not only. We are working heavily on mobility, on green mobility. Had some proposals that came from a sad story. We were going to Spain and the train broke down, and the journey that should take 2 hours took us 10 hours. And then we asked, can we get money back? No, you cannot get money back. We had to fight for it for 6 months. It was quite a crazy story. Once again, saying that public transport in Portugal is very, very bad. And then we went and looked in the law, and they're like, why the hell is like this? It should be changed. And that's what we're gonna try to do, to see concrete problems that at the community and local level we cannot address, that need a broader addressing process, and try to get them done. But that's mostly it. We'll be eager to work with everybody here and others that are trying to make the future be more sustainable and so. And trying to expand influence internationally is really the major thing, because we cannot deal with climate change alone, and that's a very clear realization. If we saw so many people worried about last week or yesterday, when Trump took the United States out of the Parisian Accords for climate, people are worried because of that. I'm not going to get into party politics, of course, at all, but they are worried because of that, because even Europe, a continent with 400 million people, cannot do nothing without other countries. That really showcases to how important this problem is, and how much we need to, and I'm going to, for definitely, work together to address it. Hope that summarized it decently.
Thank you. I hope that your meetings go well and that the politicians get annoyed enough to change things at least a little bit. And Aria, are things in Galicia? What are your next plans for the future?
Maybe I have a different focus about this theme that Joao has because, of course, I'm not that involved with this campaign. I haven't been here a long time, as I said. But I took a lot of lessons from this boot camp that we did, and I think they're very much applicable to so many things in life, not only what we would call like this activism and all this stuff, but also to organization of groups in general. So I think that the next steps that I'm going to be taking is maybe uniting like a few more people my age or older than me, because I relate to like I relationate with a lot of people that are like lots of different ages, and I feel like I can do in sort of impact like in talking to all these people and trying to get to business solution for things that are good for humanity and for the environment and for the planet, but also good for the people itself, like directly the people. And I feel like that's what I wanted to be my main focus in my next steps.
Thank you. I think that's very interesting because if people do not benefit, then it's going to be harder to involve them in the change. So we need to find the balance between benefiting the planet, but also people that live in it. Okay, so maybe moving north, we have north, or yeah, we can go north, maybe to Ireland. What are the future plans for our yak in Ireland?
So I'm just going to talk about some of the like events and activities that we have planned. We're doing a general swap that's coming up soon, so it's kind of to promote sustainable living and sustainable like purchasing and consuming. So we're organizing the swap in one of our local libraries where people can come and bring things like clothes, shoes, accessories, books, any basically anything, and they come and they can swap it out for something else. And then we're also creating this video. So it's going to include your citizens in our area. So like just your average person walking around in town, as well as politicians and decision makers, and ask them questions about the environment and stuff and things that they would like to change, because we feel like, even though it is local level and may not be like, Europe or international or anything, we do think it's important that everyone's voices are heard, especially in our local area, because our yak is for our local area, so we want all the voices to be heard. And then we're also doing this art piece. So we're part of Waterford Schley, and they are very big into artivism. So we're gonna cooperate with this guy who does beach art. So we're gonna do a little piece with him and post that on social media and stuff, because I think there is negative perceptions about social media, and obviously social media has its bads, but it's not all good. We post and raise awareness about our events and everything on social media, so even if people can't make it, they can see it, learn about it. Like some of my friends have started following that our Instagram, and they'll ask me in school like, oh, what is this, or like, what does this mean, or whatever. So it's like getting conversations started. And then another exciting thing we have coming up is a roundtable, which I think Charlotte can explain more because she was at the last one.
So it's similar to the one I was talking about that we did in 2021, where it's going to be the counselors again, and more people can come and ask questions because, like, since 2021, like, maybe people's priorities with climate change and stuff have changed. Like, I know we as the ACT, we all chose one question to ask. So, like, one person was asking about like the different types of bins provided in like public areas, and then someone else maybe had about like clean energy and stuff. So we think that it would be useful to have it again for people to come, people that went to the last one, or new people obviously to come and ask more questions. So it's basically the same, but it'll be exciting.
Okay, thank you. And our last participant from Italy, what is happening over in Italy that we can follow?
So I think that what I thought of was replicating some of the activities that we did during the boot camp in informal contexts, informal meetings with other activists. Because apart from being very engaging and fun, obviously, they were also effective to knowing other activists better and create better collaboration and dialogue between us. And but personally, yes, I think for me, um, I will change my future after the bootcamp because my knowledge was focused on human rights. Like I have a academic background of human rights because I'm completing my master in human rights in Milan. But after the bootcamp, I really want to shift to climate change because obviously I know that human rights and also the climate environmental rights and environmental rights are can reach complementary objectives for sustainable development, so they can go together. And I think that's my aim to find the marriage between these two.
Great, thank you very much. I don't know if Irene, you also want to add something for your future plans?
Yes, we are also organizing with Livia some meetings in university, in my university in Rome, to meet some students that come from Rome and some students from the Livia's University in Milan. So they will try to create something of beautiful with students.
Okay, thank you. Thank you all for sharing all of these amazing experiences. And now I will open the floor for some questions from the people listening to us. So if you have any question regarding what was talked about, or something that was not talked about but you got curious, you can leave a message in the chat, or you can activate your microphone and ask a question. And I hope that we'll have some questions for our young activists here. I'll give a little bit of time for people to gather their courage. And maybe while people think
Hi,
about
sorry.
Yes, Andrea.
Yes, sorry, if I can go
Go for
ahead
it.
while some of the other people are thinking about
Some
it.
of
I
the
have
other people are thinking about more questions, I'm
exactly.
sure.
I do have two questions. So one of them is you all mentioned the boot camp where you participated and the resulting paper. So I understand that the paper is available, but can you share a couple of activities that the boot camp actually had that actually made it so differentiating so that we can all actually understand a bit more how did it work? And the second question has to do about behavioral change because I understand that the message is passed through. Young people do understand the need and they're motivated. Young people, and not only young people, this is actually, I imagine, a universal problem. There is an understanding of the message that we need to change behaviors. We agree, we all agree, but once in our daily basis, it's not that easy to uptake the change of attitudes, like the trash in the floor, as Ron was saying. And what do you actually think that is missing from the educational perspective also, be it informal, non-formal, formal, to actually make sure that this link between understanding the message and changing attitudes is reinforced? Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Andrea. Very deep question. Maybe we can start with the bootcamp one. So I think almost all participants here attended the bootcamp. So who wants to share why the activities were so impactful into creating that position paper?
I think that it was so impactful because they were like really system directed activities, like not to do something at the moment, like cleaning beaches or doing an activity that we are not going to do ever again, but rather teaching us how to work with a group, what questions to ask other people, how to get to know other people, how to get their ideas out of our minds and make them into steps that we can do for every type of idea that comes to our mind. And also they conscientiate us very much about the importance of nature for our health, because we did a lot of these activities in nature that were very, very connecting.
Okay, thank you, Adia.
And I
And
think it was,
go,
sorry.
Olivia. Yeah, go for it. Thank you.
I think it was very practical because whereas with Changemaker Edition, I had more technical skills about policy and advocacy, this was more practical. It was the practice of it that was impactful. For example, we had exercises such as listening. So there was one person just saying all the problems concerned to their local situation, and other two people had to just listen and write them down and then offer solutions to these problems. So it's important to understand how to listen, to learn how to listen properly and take your time to give solutions. So that I think was very useful.
Thank you, Olivia. Okay, maybe we can go to the second question, which is the harder one. How can we motivate people from passing from the I know that I should do this to the I will actually do this? And this is a very tough answer to give. Maybe some of you have some philosophical take on this. Who is feeling brave?
This is a hard question. Like from personal experience, like what got me into climate change, obviously, and realizing that there was a really bad problem was like fear, and like fear that the planet obviously is in danger. So I don't know, it's probably not the right way to do it to get people to change their behaviors. But for me, anyway, fear is what happened. But I think if you're actually trying to get people to change their behaviors, like they need encouragement to do it and to show that it's not difficult. Because I think a lot of problems people have is also thinking that it's super difficult to change your lifestyle, but it's not like to like change your habits and stuff. So I think just people need encouragement sometimes.
Thank you, Charlotte. So, two things already that you mentioned that I think are very good. So people really understand that the impact is real and it's dangerous for us, right? And that our actions are not, some of them at least, are not that difficult to do. So I think that is a very good starting point. Does anyone else want to add something to the recipe for action?
I
I
can.
think.
Oh,
Oh,
go ahead,
nice.
Oh,
Kathy.
sorry.
Katie, do you want to start and then João can
Kathy
Sorry.
starts.
finish?
I think maybe our approach to educating people, because I know before I kind of joined the Yak, I was clueless about like, climate change and things that we could do. Do you know, the first time I kind of ever really heard about it was in school in my geography class, because I feel like sometimes people are like, oh, I know all these things, but, people should just know them. Whereas like sometimes the information's not there, it's not simple enough, like some people, I feel like we need to have different ways of educating others and have that information there, because we can't expect others to just know or to just do things without properly educating them, which is why a lot of our events, even though locally, a lot of our events are helpful because they also do them in a fun way, but the way that is like accessible to everyone. And then by posting them on social media, it further educates other people who again may have not been able to go. So I think social media is a very, very powerful tool on educating people, and which is like the way our Yaki likes to use social media, or even myself with my own personal account. Like it's a good way to spread the word of it, and people can see it and be like, oh, I didn't know about that before, and I'll look it up or something. It like again starts the conversations, like I was saying earlier.
That's interesting. So making education for sustainable development mainstream, right? João, do you want to finish this one?
Sir, I agree with what was said, especially by Katie, Educate. make it easier access to knowledge. But above all, I don't think you really can change the behaviors in people. Like just telling people to change and hope that they're going to change doesn't really work. What you can make it, and that's definitely something that has been done, is make it easier for them to take that choice. And what in their education is very important. If like to put it broadly, people are changing behavior because they know climate change is a problem and is a thing. Many people don't know it's a thing. How can they change their behavior if they don't have information about that? So for me, really, it's about that. It's about giving them the competences to critical think about stuff. It's not about telling them take care of the environment because it's important. I think that either doesn't work or is indoctrination, and I don't really like it. So it's very much so about critical thinking and giving access to good data, good knowledge, good information, and better options that they like. And touching, it's a question in the chat. I don't know if Telmo already saw it, but touching a bit on that, it's if you can make it easier to change behavior so that you don't lose money or don't lose quality of life, the least you have to lose to change behavior, the more willing you are to change.
Thank you, João. Yes, I was going to pick up Sam's question here. So I'll read it out loud, playing devil's advocate here. Globally speaking, how can we reduce fossil fuel usage in developing countries that depend on it? Is nuclear a good option? And this is quite indeed a difficult technical question. I don't know if any of you would like to try to tackle this doubt or not. I think like maybe I can start by trying to dissect it a bit. That I think the main part here is on developing countries, right? Because maybe for us the story about nuclear power is different from us rather than developing countries, and all the countries are developing, but some of them have more energy security than others. So
maybe I can try to.
Yeah, thank you, João.
From a technical point of view, no, not at all. Because you cannot implement nuclear power in a developing country. It doesn't work. Some countries have tried it, went to hell. To implement energy-based nuclear power system, you need a strong central government. You can see it in Europe. The only country or the first country that actively implemented nuclear power was France. And it had a nationalized, centralized authority to control it, to implement it, to pay for it. Afterwards, we saw Spain doing that a bit in a somewhat softer way, and so on. In a developing country, that's not doable. So it's not even a question, the nuclear power in specific, especially because nuclear power is very easily weaponized. And most of the times being developed is not very democratic process or not very democratically stable process. And I don't like my countries that are having revolutions being able to do nuclear bombs or dirty bombs. Going from the, as Telmo said, the broader aspect of how can we conciliate development with sustainability, fair trade is a huge one. And here we are, I'm not going to say I agree or not, but we see many people, especially from green parties and green point of views, saying Europe is going clean at the expense of the rest of the world, that we are going clean and so on because children in Africa are taking lithium for our batteries. Of course, I'm exaggerating a bit, but the argument basically is that don't do it. Like if the trade from and the economic systems and so on from developed countries to others is a good one, makes it easier for them. Like if they have money to buy, they're not gonna buy renewable energies without having quality of life reasons for that. So if that brings it with it money, opportunities, and so on, that's a good example. What the European Union is doing of we give you money, but you need to invest in X type of industry and in a sustainable and digital way is a way of doing it. Do it foreign aid, but conditionate the foreign aid. to hope that those in poverty or in development without opportunity for nothing are going to be the ones creating stuff where half the richest countries in the world are doing nothing isn't really, it's hopeful but it's not practical. So I don't think there are very good and happy solutions, but conditioning for an aid and stuff like that, it's sadly needed. Maybe somebody else wants to add
Thank you,
on.
João. Yes. Maybe we can even try to derive the question into thinking about our own reality. And sometimes, even if we are even if we don't have some of the issues that low-income countries have, still there is a talk that could be had about trying to balance sustainability with life quality, let's say, because maybe some people have the fear that making changes for sustainability, they will need to lower their quality of life. And have you ever thought about that? As in your meetings, maybe did you manage to tackle that discussion? And while you think about that, I will give you 30 seconds to think about that. I will just read a bit of the other João that we have in the audience that also answered a bit this question and more or less talked about the need for technological development, which is also and has always been I mean, not always been actually. I was saying that it has always been a synonym for trying to be more sustainable, but not in the Industrial Revolution. But now, hopefully, some of the things that are being technologically made help us be more sustainable, but also maybe a bit of the also lifestyle changes. Maybe he talks a bit about the electric cars, for example. I would put the trains here because I love trains. So, Andrea, you have your hand risen up. Do you want to help us with these questions?
Well, if you thought my question was difficult, Sam, thank you so much because yours was really over. But I just really wanted to compliment that. I think that is why it is so important to have movement from the local basis up because I don't know if the question was about low and middle income countries. There is a big difference from Nigeria, right, whose GDP heavily relies on fossil fuels for sure, or for example, countries like Guinea-Bissau, for which economy does rely on it. But that's why it is so important. You see, the EU is having these massive efforts on the green transition, but now it is actually being threatened by all these other competitors, if we may say so, in low and middle income countries like China's and well, right now even the US. And we need inside forces to advocate and to really call the EU not to push back on their efforts for this green transition. We really need that. And this starts from locally, nationally, at the EU level. And that's why it's so brilliant to hear all your efforts to move decision makers throughout all this scale, so that the EU decision makers right now, it's the worst time for them to step down on this because it is a very complicated process. There is no technology, there is no capital to invest in the technology. But if key partners like the EU hold off, then we are definitely in trouble. Not just low and middle income countries, but all of us.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Andrea, for sharing this perspective. Okay, so did any of you got inspired? And that's a last answer to my question about life quality and sustainability. Where is the balance? How can we convince people that they do not have to give up on their life quality to be more sustainable?
I feel like we cannot expect to people to just change something that works for something that is hard to do. So we really have to like help the people to mm, make the sustainability more accessible. But because I feel like right now, for example, this is like a very broad example, right? The one that this guy played on here, like the developing countries cannot develop without fossils unless we help them. Other things, for example, in my local area specifically, we want to have like animals and take care of them and do like primary sectory things in industry, yeah. But we cannot because the law is so hard. They have so many papers you have to fill out. They have so many restrictions for having animals. So many stuff for just having like a goddamn pig on your farm, you know? We are like this very rural place where everybody is in the middle of the mountain, literally, and they cannot even build a little house to the side of their house. It's like crazy. They don't have any liberty to do freedom. They don't have any freedom to do the things that would make the world a bit better or more sustainable because the government doesn't help. That's it. That's what I thought.
Okay, thank you, Arya. I don't know if anyone else want to give a last input on this one. We are also running a bit out of time, so maybe I'll use this opportunity to ask for your last words. So again, thanking you for your sharing. So if you have any last issue or topic or that you want to share with the rest of the people, now this is the time. Maybe Arya, because you were talking already, maybe I can ask you to go forward and share your last thoughts. No? No? So I will go to the next person that I have on my list. João, what about you? Do you want to share
Sorry,
your last thoughts?
I think I've given a lot of thought, but I don't mind.
These are the last ones.
Last ones, I promise. I think some things are very important. Like, have hope, be motivated. The world didn't change in one day, never, and here it's not going to be different. As it said, we see so many things going the other way around, the way we didn't like it. But like at the end of the day, just keep it going, because if we, the youngsters that are spend 2 hours on a very nice Friday instead of being outside or so on having a conversation about these topics, like if we give up, who's gonna stand up? Like, if that makes sense. So be motivated, keep going. A bit not contrary, but paradoxical to that is don't work for nothing. I have a saying like, don't, in Portuguese, don't work to heat yourself up. If you're doing something, make sure it has an impact, it's effective. And impact doesn't mean do an event for 10,000 people. Sometimes a conversation with 2 people has an impact. I'm not saying the numbers and the goals and so on, not like that. I don't like that type of work too much, but make sure that what you are doing is changing something. Because in this field, and we talk about that in the bootcamp, we do so much that we get exhausted and then can't keep going. Try to avoid that. Try to think about what you are doing. What is the stuff I'm doing that, yes, I'm happy about that, and I want to keep going in changing people, do that. If there's stuff that you are doing because, oh, I read somewhere that it's important and it's good for the environment, but you don't really feel it, doesn't really see it doing something, don't insist it just because in the Facebook post says it's very nice or so on. Like, work or volunteer or whatever it is in a way that fulfills you and that changes something. Otherwise, especially in a hard topic like this, you cannot really do much. You need to be here in the long run. And that means taking care of yourself and means keep going and being motivated when it's hard to. So I think that's a nice thought to leave it here for the next one.
Thank you for these positive words on the importance of doing things with meaning, right? Meaningful action. Katie, you can take the floor.
Thank you. So I think my piece of advice is to use your voice. Be loud, be angry, be mad, be upset, use your voice, put all your emotion into your voice, because even though you think, I used to have this mentality that, oh, I'm just one person, I'm just this like teenager in Ireland, like no one knows me, like it's not going to matter, but it does. It even doing the smallest things, it matters. So use your voice, if something's making you angry, make sure people know it's making you angry, use your voice, go talk to people about it, go share stuff on social media, go do actions for it, raise awareness. Like, I think do everything in your power to do it, because at the end of the day, this is our future. We have to live there, our kids have to live there, grandkids, whoever, your family, friends, and you want a better world for them that we're living in currently. So I think my biggest advice is just to use your voice.
Thank you very much. Maybe Irene, do you want to use your voice to give your last words?
Yes, based also on what we say tonight, I think that together we can educate, innovate, and inspire an action on a global scale, and people in planet demonstrate it because we have do it. And so let's unite our voices and resources from all the world, from Poland, Italy, Ireland, Portugal, and all the planet, and we have to transform our collective passion into real change, because I think that if we work together, we don't just dream, but we can make the reality, so make the change. So join us on this necessary mission for the planet.
Thank you, Irene. That was beautiful. Okay, we have Livia missing. Livia, what do you want to share with our audience before we turn off?
Yes, I think that tangible improvements and change can be reached, and I can see it. And also, these little things give satisfaction. So it's not about reaching millions, it's just small steps that really help. So if you're new to, I don't know, climate change and activism, I think it's not so difficult to start doing something. It's not, you don't have to change the world today. It's going to take time, but it's very rewarding. And I think I'm motivated also from other people that are here, for example, and that helps a lot. So it can be done, and it will be done.
Thank you a lot, Livia. And step by step, we are reaching the end of our session and of our speakers. Maybe Charlotte, do you also want to give us a last message?
Yeah, so much has been said already, but I suppose my message is just to keep getting involved, with your local area and be conscious of your habits and be aware of what's going on around you and the problems that we're fighting, and just keep having conversations with your family and your friends, that you need to share your passion. If this is what you're passionate about, you have to keep having conversation and don't give up, because we will get there and it will be done, as Livia said. So just be hopeful and it'll be all good.
Thank you so much, Charlotte. And last opportunity, Ari, do you want to have a conversation with the audience before we leave?
Yeah, I think if you have to get something for here, there's this last words that we have all said. Especially, I want to focus on the fact that the world is much better off than we are told, like much better off. We are driving towards very efficient, um, sustainable energies. The world is not that bad. It can be changed, definitely. And if you put in the effort and you really are conscious about it and try to push, you definitely will get there, and we all will get there. So please keep fighting.
Okay, thank you so much, Arya, for those optimistic thoughts. Yes, the world is better and it can continue being better if we fight for it, and it's important to be aware of the power that we have in our hands. Okay, so from us, that's it today. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts. Thank you, everyone that was listening to us, and from the questions that you made, for your interactions. Thank you a lot. It was very interesting to listen to all of these different realities and experiences and opinions. And I will ask again, follow us on social media, Water of the Future. You can check our final activities of the project on Instagram, on Facebook. You can check our website, waterofthefuture.org, where you can find all the material that we created. So if you want also to be inspired to organize something in your city, in your community, go there, check our material, our resources. And thank you for being with us, and see you next time.
Thank you so
Bye
much.
bye.
Thank you so much. See you.